This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good afternoon to you all and welcome to the beginning of our show. My name is Sydney and I am not traveling alone this afternoon. I am with Senzo. Senzo is my photographer this afternoon. And for your questions and comments, you can send us on Twitter, #SafariLive, and also on YouTube chat stream. This afternoon, the weather is not that very bad, despite the very strong winds. I can see that here, where I am, animal activities are not taking place due to a lot of wind activities. My plan for this afternoon is going to be going down to the eastern side of the reserve and see if I can find some of the cats. Yes, I'm looking for Tandy and Kalamba. Those are my two favorite cats at the moment. So this is the beginning of my trekking. So let's see what we can find. Yeah, the wind is a little bit too much, eh? Let's now go to Ralph and see what Ralph is up to this afternoon, eh?
Well, hello and welcome aboard everybody on the afternoon sunset safari. We're coming to you live from the Djuma Traverse of the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. My name is Ralph Kirsten and on camera this morning in the crow's nest I've got Fergus. Hello Fergus. And hello to all of you once again. Now, this is the first time that I've actually been driving when I've opened on my opening sequence. So I thought I'd give it a go because we are now on the lookout going to look for some cats, some leopards, and I'm just moving through this weather that has dropped in temperature substantially today. It seems like this cold front has finally arrived up from down south in Cape Town. It made landfall about a week ago and it's finally now arrived with us. So you can see there's a lot of clouds around. It's very chilly and as I say, the temperature dropped with it. From yesterday to today it has been a substantial change and well, it's very interesting. Lots of wind now, so I'm sure the behavior of the animals is going to be quite different too. Now please don't forget to join us on the #SafariLive on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments and get involved on this interactive game drive. Now, I'm not the only one that's out here. Obviously, you saw Sydney, but there is a bushwalk out this afternoon as well. I wonder how they're doing in this wind.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing this beautiful afternoon? It's windy and blustery, and I do indeed have a jacket on bushwalk in the afternoon, so you can tell the temperatures are a little bit fresh. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined on camera by David, and we are out. We're going to go up towards the north, and I'd like to do a little bit of a walk through one of the burnt areas and just see what we can find and see how the plants are starting to recover again after that little bit of burning that they've done. Last night we had a very small spattering of rain, which is very strange because of this cold front that's coming from the Cape. So we're going to head up to the north and see exactly what's going on up there. Come on, Herbie, off we go. There he is. Come jump on board, folks. Beautiful afternoon in the African wilderness. Let us know what you'd like to see and talk about. I'm going to do a little bit of fire ecology this afternoon. I know that the Mara is experiencing some big fires at the moment, so I'm sure there'll be some updates on that soon. Brent sent a few pictures through earlier. Incredible. The power of fire always amazes me. And a day like this with this kind of wind, you'd be very careful of any fire, any burning, because the wind will just pick it up and take it very far, and fire can be very devastating in high wind conditions. But let's go over to Sydney. I believe he's on the trail of a leopard.
Yeah, this is the beginning of my trekking, and on the ground so far the only evidence I have got here is for the spotted hyena heading towards the direction where we are going to be looking for these animals this afternoon, which is the eastern side of the game reserve. So the chances of seeing the leopards are very high this afternoon. Yes, the wind, it does disturb a little bit of trekking, because when it's too windy, the wind always rub the tracks. So the chances of trekking are not very there. I can see that the track that we are looking at on the ground there is a brown hyena track, and it's not a fresh track. You can see that the track is very sticked. It's showing that this was shortly after some little bit of rain. It is not that very fresh. So it means there was some little bit of drizzle. Maybe it was early this morning when it was still very cold. But for now, I have not yet picked up any fresh tracks. So we are going to be looking for a general game at the moment until I pick up any of the evidences regarding the cats. So I am going to be driving towards the western side. Don't mind me. The camera will be shaking a little bit because of driving. Okay. Yeah, we can now go to Ralph. He's also looking for some leopards on his side.
Well, we are always looking for leopards, lions, and everything else in between. And look what we've spotted. A Loxodonta africana, the world's heaviest and largest land mammal. And with the wind here, you can see it raising its trunk. I think it can probably smell us. The wind's sort of blustery, circling a little bit. It's not going directly towards him, but I think part of a herd that is moving through here as well. Now, that's moving down towards the Mlwati, and if you do see a pole in your screen there, it pops up. We've got that on just in case it does decide to have or give us a little bit of precipitation, and we're just then going to be protecting all the equipment. Now I think I'm going to spin around and just head down in there, because I always love hanging with elephants. So let's see if we can get down there and have a better view of them. And as I said, with the wind like this, you can have a lot of the animals being rather nervous, from the antelope, Impala and kudu, to rhino. They are extremely skittish in this kind of weather. And to elephants, they can also be a little bit nervous as well, and even the cats and so on, they can also just put themselves in a position where they're a little bit out of the wind, and they can maybe hear a little bit better, you know, because everything, all the senses now get thrown a little bit off, from their smell to their hearing, because they're constantly hearing noise now, and so they can't pick up that very distinguishable crackling of branches or so on from a predator coming through to it. So the elephant's not perturbed too much, but just with all the different smells, it can make them a little bit different, if I can say that, in this kind of weather. And you saw that one youngster, how he did sort of, you know, have a bit of a smell on us. Now there we can see them again through the brush. I don't know if it's worth stopping here. I wonder if they've actually gone down into the Mlwati. Let's just go down a bit further here and see if maybe one of them has made his way down into the actual river itself. All right, so sorry about that, folks. The gremlins, you know, with this kind of weather, can often affect not only streams but signals and all sorts of things. So just bear with us if we have any little gremlins attacking and you have some frozen screens or anything like that. Now, Tracy, you say that you're very excited that we found some elephants. I love hanging with the ellies. They're like the big friendly giants of the African bush, and I'm just trying to get us a better view on these guys. And they were moving towards us, but there was lots of brush in between us and them. So there's another little road here that I thought I'll maybe come and have a look. I wonder if it's a couple of males. Oh, no, there we go. Now we've got a nice view on one of them. There we are. Let's see. There might be some more around. I saw two. Oh, a little bit of a head shake. Hello. Are you just showing us that you're there? Thanks for that. Oh, I wonder if he's actually... Let's have a look. Have a nice close look there. It's a female, so it's not a male. So it's most likely now part of a larger breeding herd. Let's see her trunk. No, it's not anything distinguishable. It's not a short trunk. A youngish female, that. She's fully grown, but she can fill out a bit. Also, those tusks are reasonably small. Oh, there's another one just showing up off onto our left. So now they're starting to show themselves. But this one that we're watching got the clearest view on it at the moment. It's taking some nice sun there. Obviously just feeding as well. So they're not on a mission. They're not moving and sort of stop and feed. And sometimes just walk slowly as they feed. And they might be making their way towards twin dams, which would be nice. If they're going to all come for a drink, hopefully we can meet them there. And we'll have to wait and see which way they move. It's amazing how quickly they disappear in the thick bush. Such a massive animal, and they can walk almost in complete silence. It's only the vegetation that brushes up against them that we actually hear. Now I'm just going to drop back slightly here, Ferg, because there's one there. Actually, I'll stop right there. It's got a nice face shot right there like that. This one looks like a bit of a bigger individual. That's very pretty with that light coming through, just poking through the clouds and making for quite a lovely atmosphere. You can see how much wind there is as well, with the brush rustling there. Not really bothering the elephants too much. Really always look so relaxed when they're feeding. And they really do seem to enjoy feeding as well. I always think elephants are quite bush connoisseurs. They're sort of grabbing at all different little things and tidbits. Isabella, looking at this individual here, I think it's a female. It's quite a lot bigger than the other one. I might be wrong. And I would put this in, you know, sort of mid-20s to early 30s. It's not an extremely old individual. It's got a very nice, decent set of tusks. And let's see if we can see which one it favors and which one is more worn down. I wonder, this one on the right here looks a little bit more brillant, as they would say in Francais. I'm going to be using quite a few French words today, just because of the French being in the World Cup final tonight, in soccer. So this elephant, his tusks are a little bit worn on the right-hand side. I think that left one seems quite a lot thicker as well. And you would call those le défense en français, those tusks. Right, so this is quite a lovely little encounter, and I'm going to stay here and see what or who shows themselves out of this breeding herd, because, well, elephants are just completely magical.
Incredibly magical, and to find them out in the wilderness is always special. And we've spotted something through the vegetation, and it is a small family, we believe, of the striped kind. They're black and white striped zebra, and we've only seen two through the thick bush. This is the best sight we've had so far. We might try and get a little bit closer in a moment as that one starts walking off. Very camouflaged in the vegetation there with those black and white stripes, surprisingly. But that's what you're going to expect on a day like this, is the animals are going to retreat into sort of the cover where there's lots of bushes, because the trees make a little bit of a buffering against the sort of the wind. Go down into the sort of drainage depressions. We're going to be moving through one now, heading up to the north. So let's see if we get a little bit closer to these beautiful animals. They're kind of making a line towards Gallagher Pan. It's possible they might be going to go and drink. But it's also possible because there's some Impala there, and I saw a warthog. And there's another zebra bottom. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer, shall we, Davy? They are really that special and iconic African animal. The striped horse. The mythical striped horse, they called it, for a long time. There's a lot of debate behind why they have their stripes. There we go, Davy, straight through here. But why they have their stripes, I believe one of the theories of, one of the original theories of thermoregulation has been sort of booted out. Some people think that there's different fat cells or layers underneath each of the stripes, which the black attracts the heat, and then the white gives off the heat, so it causes like this convection current against the body, which would obviously assist in cooling, but apparently that has been thrown out. Definitely one of the ones that you can clearly see in the wilderness is how the camouflaging or dazzling effect the stripes have as the herd moves is one, which is a confusing tactic for the herd against predators, especially when the youngsters are hidden inside there. But my favorite tale, and it's something that they did a lot of research on, is that the stripes, the black and white stripes, apparently fend off the tsetse fly, the biting horsefly, that was very prevalent in southern Africa many years ago. And the very, very nasty bites they can give. They suck the blood, and they also transmit certain diseases. And what scientists did is they took 3 model horses, or zebra-style bodies, one black, one white, and one striped, and they electrified it with a little cage on the bottom to catch whatever fell on the bottom. And all of that, they dragged it through, as scientific experiments go. They dragged it through the bush the same time, the same distance, the same place, all of that sort of stuff. And then they counted the amount of flies that had been electrocuted and fallen onto the bottom grid. And they found that the white was quite high in bites. The black was less, I believe. I'm not sure which one actually was the worst, the black or the white. But the black and white combined had the fewest incidences of tsetse fly trying to land on them. So that is another theory that seems to ring quite true. And I think I quite like that one. My world, your music, indeed. We love seeing these zebras. I know Taylor was commenting as well. The McCurdy-Hurdy, she's now up in the Mara, so she's going to have her fill of zebras up there. But we're almost seeing them every day now, which is really, really nice. And my belief is that the zebras all kind of went east for the grazing, the better grazing, and the basalts towards the east, where the rain had fallen. Very sweet felt over there. And we're probably going to see it with the buffalo. I'm not 100% sure, but there's quite a lot of winter grazing left behind here, and horses and zebra and animals like that have a very good sort of tendency to enjoy hay-like material, and so we've got lots of grass, not the best quality in the world, but they make do with quite low quality, but as long as it's in bulk. So another animal that enjoys eating a lot of food in bulk. Ralph seems to have found some more.
Well, this, I was wrong in the sex of that animal. It's a young bull that is obviously following on with this herd. Now, they are all making their way down towards Twin Dams, and there are more elephants on their way coming down into the Mlolwati here. So I'm going to start up now, and I'm just going to head down because we could get, I think, a lovely little view of these animals, maybe a couple of little babies coming towards us as well. So this could be wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Here's, ooh, maybe I need to wait here a little bit. Now, never too late. you can eventually see when elephants are pregnant, but they won't show it initially. And it doesn't, because they are hindgut fermenters, it's not an extremely easy thing to do when you see, or to see if they're pregnant. As I say, it doesn't show that much, but it does show more than, for instance, hyenas. Hyenas you almost cannot see when they're pregnant. Now I just did that little move just to give this female and her baby a little bit of room, that they don't feel like they are intimidated by us being in their sort of path. I'm just watching. You see how the tail go? Okay, she's going to have a bit of a poo as well. But sometimes when an elephant's tail goes out like that, they are a little bit stressed. So now she's probably thinking about her youngster there. She doesn't look like an extremely old female. And there they're walking nicely in the drainage line in the Simlawati, so we're going to get a great picture of them now. I just want them to give them some space that I can then move down and we'll be able to watch them. She's sort of circling back a little bit towards us, and you always should let elephants become accustomed with your presence. You shouldn't just charge in there and think you can just join them. They sort of allow you to join them, you know. Well, that's how I always think of it. So like in this situation there, especially with the little youngster, you also want to be a little bit careful too, because mommies will react accordingly with the youngsters regardless in the animal kingdom, from humans to elephants. Everybody going to be protecting their youngsters. And you see how that little one now can use its trunk. Let's see how well he can use it. He's still trying to work it out. You see, picking up that grass, putting it in his mouth. And he's got decent ability there. I can't see any tusks that have come out just yet. That's normally at about 2 years old. So I would put this youngster at about 1.5 years, I would say. That trunk, they get to use it at about a year's age, or they start to work it out. So I would say between 1 and 2 years old, maybe about 1.5. See, it's still struggling, not quite adept at all those muscles, and there are a lot of them in that trunk. They're really struggling a bit to get the grass nicely in its mouth, but getting there. You see, maybe you grab onto it and then also use his foot. You've probably been watching Mom and the rest of the herd, how they do it. Sort of grab onto a clump with their trunk, and if it's too difficult to pull it out, then he uses his foot. You see there? Coming through. There we go. Good. Well done. But then losing most of it in the wind. Shame. He's got to work a little bit harder for the same amount of food as the adults. Alright, I think I'm going to try and get us a little bit of a better view here of this little youngster, because there's not many things, I would say, in the bush that is more interesting than watching little Ellies.
I've got one of the very, very beautiful birds there. You can see it is the Cape turtle dove is trying to feed. There is something very interesting I found about these doves and pigeons. So the dove and pigeons, they are not part of the mammals, but these birds can be able to produce milk to give to their little ones. And how they produce milk is very much interesting, because they don't have mammary glands. The only characteristic that is similar to that one of the mammals is that they are endothermic, meaning that they can be able to regulate their own body temperature. So apart from that, they don't have anything in common with the mammals. So the doves, they have got a part here right close to the neck, which is called a crop, whereby they store food before the food goes down to the stomach. These birds, they can be able to break down the epithelial part of the crop, and then they regurgitate it and give that milk to their little ones. That milk, it has been recorded very, very rich in terms of the protein and fat. normally they start to produce that milk a week before they lay their eggs. They start to produce that a week before they hatch their eggs. So these birds, the milk that I'm talking about, it is produced by the same prolactin hormone, which is the very same hormone producing the milk when it comes to the lactation period of the mammals. And if you can check, they are going to even suspend feeding for about a week. Just when having the little ones, the first week or two, they are going to suspend feeding because they don't want to contaminate the milk with the seeds, because they know very well their little ones are too small, they cannot digest the seeds at all. So you can see that these birds, they are very much well gifted, and very much interesting. And if they've got eggs and one of the eggs falls, oh, it's gone, okay. When they've got some eggs, it's very much interesting. If one of the eggs falls, this is what is going to happen. The left egg, when it hatches, the little one is going to grow and have a lot of amount of milk, because normally they produce milk for two, because they normally lay up to 2 eggs. So now when there's only one chick available, then it means that chick has got a lot of milk to feed on alone. So let's carry on and see if we can find something. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of doves here in southern Africa, Sina. The one we saw now is called a Cape turtle dove. We even got some of the laughing doves. We do have, it's quite a lot. It's not the only one we have got here in southern Africa. And in South Africa in particular, Juma Game Reserve, we have got a lot of different species as well. So we can go to my other colleagues so that they can show us what they've got on the other side.
Well, thanks, Sydney. Out in the wilderness on bushwalk, we're always looking for the very small tracks and signs. And what's really interesting about the small tracks and signs in the bush is to see how animals are interacting with the wilderness. And what we have found is just small little white hairs on the end of this branch, which is very, very interesting, because we saw the zebra just before, and now we found something the zebras have been doing. We're going to show you how we've got the zebra tracks have come in from 2 sides. There's a track over here of the hoof, right over there, and over there, and then there's also tracks on this side of hooves, this side, that side, and then what you can clearly see over here is where a hoof has been moving quite a bit. And what happened over here, folks, is this little branch right over here. It's nice and smooth. It's really, really nice and smooth. The zebras walked up to it and they put their bottom there and they just started rubbing. Because when you don't have fingers, oh, that actually feels really good, Davy. It's quite sharp, in fact. But that really gets to those itchy spots that they can't get to. So quite often you'll find animals will come up to something that is low down, it's in the right spot. You know, I've seen friends of mine do it when they can't reach that itch on their back and they're on the side of the cupboard or something. And the look that's often on the person's face is quite similar to that of a dog when you get them just on that right spot on the belly. You've seen that before. I love finding these little things, and it's so cool because we found the zebra, we found the tracks, and we're heading off to an area where we know they've burnt. And I know for a fact a zebra always moves straight into an area after it's burnt, looking for the ash and looking for the fresh flush. So that's what we're hoping we're going to find. Tony, you want to know about a quagga? Quaggas and zebras are... It was a type of zebra, the quagga. It is not alive anymore. It's extinct. It was a species of zebra. I think it was actually, the scientific name had quagga in it. I'm not 100% sure, but it was shot out a very long time ago. It was definitely a species of zebra, but I need to double check that. I think it was before before my time, but it is a name we know very, very well. One of my favorite rugby players. He's got a very funny looking nose. I think it's been broken about 15 times. His name is, well, it's his actual nickname, but everyone calls him Quagga. So it's a very cool name. But I'm not sure when the last Quagga was around, but it's probably over 100 years ago, and it was shot out. It was probably down in the Cape, where the settlers that lived down there basically just shot everything that they could. 150 years ago. There were lions down there, there was a blue antelope, there was all sorts of things that occurred in the Cape, including elephants that no longer exist. Classic example of human colonization, really, around the world. Okay, well, while I kick this elephant dung along the way, down this path we go, through the drainage line to the other side, Ralph is still with his beautiful elephants.
Yes, and we're watching these ellies now. We've got a nice clear view on them, and there's a bull that's following them, and I wonder if he's trying to get up to no good. He's actually got a big hole in his ear there as well. That would be quite an easy way to identify him. He's a reasonably young bull, but he's adult and mature, and just nice to see them very calmly moving through, just feeding as they go. I'm pretty sure they are making their way slowly towards Twin Dams. And they're heading straight in that direction, and I'm hoping they're all going to go for a drink. Always lovely to watch them at the waterhole. Now, Taja, well, elephants, they'll take a few years in between having calves. It does take them almost on 2 years for their gestation period. It's 22 months. So, oh, little head shake there from this little youngster. Thanks for that. Just letting us know that he's there. And so it's normally at about, I would say, around about 5 years between calves. We can have a little bit less time in between, but you see, mommy she'll breastfeed for, almost on 2 years. So those calves will be, from the gestation 2 years, then another 2 years, even on to about 3 years before she has another one. See that hole in his ear? He's got a big one, and then there's a little one below it. I wonder what happened there. If he got caught on a thorn tree, or it's quite a big hole. That looks like you can see the wound that's been healing there. It's in its latter stages of healing, and there you can see his actual ear opening nicely behind his eye, directly behind the eye. Very big ear opening. There it is. You can see all the little scratches on him as well, that he would sort of get when he's walking between the bushes and branches and trees, and have very thick skin. It's over an inch thick, so they don't really feel anything much. And you see all those wrinkles, and I read an article on that just recently, in that those wrinkles actually assist them quite to a large extent with thermoregulation, because it makes the surface of the surface area of their body more, so it does assist in cooling down and for warming up. So in this kind of situation, there would be more surface area warming up a little bit in the sun as he stands broadside there to the warmth, and if it was trying to cool down, well, there'd be extra surface area for the wind to blow over. So it definitely does assist in thermoregulation. I think today is not too much of a problem. It's probably perfect temperature for them. Take care. I'm pretty sure that the pressure that they're applying onto the ground is pretty much their body mass, literally divided by however many feet are on the ground at the time. So at this moment in time, if this elephant is probably, I would say, about 4.5 tons, so it's probably applying just over 1 ton per you know, I don't know how they work it out, but Conrad, the engineer in FC, would be able to tell me the exact maths behind it, but I'm pretty sure you could work it out with looking at the circumference of the bottom area or surface area of their foot and divide it by how many feet are on the ground, also with the weight of the particular individual. So if he had to stand on 1 foot, you'd literally be putting all the pressure of 4.5 tons all onto that particular spot. Now, I know that you measure pressure in, you know, different pressures in different units, and if you've got your pressure in your tire, for instance, you're normally looking at those kPAs. And so it's all down to, like if we look at the barometric pressure, what is that? You're normally going between about 2,000 kPAs and I think it's about 500 on an atmospheric pressure. But yeah, those acronyms I didn't do very well in science, so I'd need all those acronyms. I'd need reminding of them. But I know that that's how you would work it out. So anyway, let's just say that there's a lot of pressure being applied onto those feet, and they do have special sponges in them that assist with obviously the pressure that is being exerted, because otherwise they would very quickly get arthritis in their bones. And so there's a lot to be said around the cushioning in elephants' feet. It doesn't only assist in alleviating the pressure and allowing them to be able to walk with such ease, it also allows them to walk very quietly, and it does actually also fulfill a bit of a communication receptor. I have heard that the elephants can actually communicate a little bit through the ground with their very low pitch calls that they give. Sometimes they say that some of those actually even are transported through rumblings or vibrations in the ground. And it would make sense because, like water, land is more dense than air, and if you can pass a message through the ground, it would travel further than it would do in air. So elephants are very much similar communication that whales have in the ocean, with their very long, or capabilities of long distance communication. And I heard a story about in the Kruger National Park, when there was still culling going on there, that the elephants in the south that were being culled obviously put out a signal, and the ones in the north, over 100 kilometers away, were picking up that message. So it's quite incredible indeed.
Yeah, that was an amazing communication about the elephants. So now I have got something very much interesting to show you. I'm just going to get off the vehicle and show you just now. Yeah, let me see. What I'm going to show you here is one of those interesting markings. So look here, we've got some of the droppings hanging up by this tree. I know to a lot of people it's very difficult to tell from what animal is this. Also here on the ground you can see there's even some of the evidences showing that some of the droppings, they fell on the ground. So these droppings, big, this is from the third largest landmark, is from the hippopotamus. So the hippopotamus, yes, they spend much of their time deep in the water holes, but as soon as the sun goes down, they have got to come out for feeding purposes. Hippopotamus are territorial, and they don't only mark their territories next to the water holes, because they've got to go out and travel long distances in search of food. So the hippopotamus, how they mark their territories, their style of marking is completely different from all these other animals. This is what the hippopotamus are doing. They come here and then they leave their droppings. As they're excreting their droppings, they must be waving the tail at the same time. The tail is going to disperse the droppings at the same time, and they mark on these trees. So reason for them to mark is for the territorial purposes. So hippopotamus, if you check in there, what do they eat? These animals are staying by the dams, whereby there are fish and there's even crocodiles. Do they eat those fish and crocodiles? Definitely no. The hippopotamus, they only eat grass. So they come out and go these long distances in search of the grass. There is quite a very interesting old story about the hippopotamus staying in the dams, whereby there are a lot of other activities done by fish and crocodiles associated with how they demarcated their territories. So the hippopotamus, they come here, they excrete their droppings and disperse these droppings in order to show Father of Creation about the evidence he's got in the droppings. Long time ago, the hippopotamus was designed to stay on land. But because of his body size and because of sunburn, he had to go back and ask if he can go and stay inside the waterholes. There is where the hippopotamus was allowed, and when the hippopotamus was allowed, he had to now come every time after every secretion of the droppings. The hippopotamus had to go back and show that all he's eating is grass. There is no evidence of some of the things such as the bones from the fish and the crocodiles. You can see that the hippopotamus is trying to be loyal to the Father of Creation to show that he is not disturbing the fish and crocodiles. He is still concentrating on grasses. He is just staying there by the water hole in order to prevent sunburn. So now we are going to carry on again and see what we are going to find as we are heading to the western side of the game reserve. We are now on the east. I've got a question from Sina, which has got something to do with the size of a territory. A territory, the size is determined by competition. So mostly the territory can go up to 4.5 kilometers to 5.5 kilometers square. But once it's marked, it's marked. Extension of the territory is difficult because if other areas has already been marked, it means there is going to be a lot of fightings. And fightings amongst these animals can be very much vicious. Some of the animals during this territorial fight, they lose their lives. So now we are going to carry on and see if we can find something. So now we can go to Steve is on bushwalk at the moment and see what he got on the other side.
Thanks, Sydney. Well, an animal that didn't escape the wind or the night. Look what we found. I wonder if anybody knows what that is. Beautifully soft. Beautifully soft. White underneath, a little black on the top. Hashtag Safari Live quickly, if you know what it is. A little bit sinewy inside there. Beautiful. Fluffy. Could almost use it to wipe my face. We found this just a little bit further back there and thought I'd grab it and take it along. Dave, you think it's quite nice and soft, eh?
Love it.
Francis, you are half correct when you say it's a scrub hare. It is the scrub hare's tail. Sorry, you did get it right there, Francis. Well done. So that is all that's left. There's a little bit of sort of sinewy bone inside there, but this beautiful, beautiful texture and so insulating. You can imagine how nice and warm this little scrub hare is when it's running around at night. If you didn't know that, folks, they are nocturnal. They go around grazing, feeding on the grass and little forbs that might come through, and this beautiful fur is what keeps them very nice and insulated, especially in the cold mornings. You've seen the layers we wear when we go out. When you're a small animal, you give off a whole lot more heat than you do when you're a big animal. So they need to be very well insulated so as to make sure that they survive the cold of the night. Well, I don't think it was the cold that killed this one. We do know that Tandi loved to be around this area. We were closer to Galago Pan just a short while ago. Osana's back. I doubt it was him. Maybe it could have been Shadulu. But it's obvious it's the unnecessary part that wouldn't have gone down very well in the palate of a leopard. But it also could have been an owl, in fact, that had killed it. We don't know. We weren't there. We didn't see it. There's no obvious signs of trauma. All you can tell is that that is broken off. That little bone piece there is broken. How it was broken, very hard to say. Oh, yeah, everyone's feeling sorry. It's okay, though. There are multitudes of scrub hares. About 500 tried to throw themselves in front of my car this morning. I didn't get any of them. I was very careful. Very, very careful. But this guy wasn't that careful. But they form a very important diet in the predator hierarchy here. And we wonder how many scrub hares actually get eaten. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. Right here, there's not just a scrub hare, but there's an animal that has been eaten. And judging by the horn that is over here, it looks like a young buffalo. Hard to tell. It's embedded in the ground. The termites have started, so I'm going to leave it. Another piece over here. There we go. You see the horn borer moths have started here. So nothing goes to waste out here. Is this a buffalo? I think it's a buffalo, a young buff. Really hard to say. Horn borer moths have started their little cocoon process as they feed on the keratin. The horn is all made out of keratin, just like our fingernails. They feed on it, and with their feces made out of keratin and a bit of silk, they form these long turrets, and inside they go as a little sort of caterpillar-like worm, and then they will eventually pop out the end, metamorphosizing into a beautiful moth to go and then decompose another horn somewhere else out there. It's all part of nature, folks, all part and parcel of the circle of life out here. The scrub hare forms the meal for many of the smaller medium-sized predators, including owls, and then the larger predators take the bigger sort of animals. It's all part and parcel of what goes on out here. And right in front of it over here in the frame is the famous red oat grass or red grass that absolutely loves fire, and this is what dominates the Mara plains at the moment. That is probably burning. Lots of it is burning, and it is a fire climax grass. Very, very flammable, loves to burn, and is also very palatable. So this is the choice grass fed on by a lot of the grazing animals you find around, including zebra. They'll like this a lot, but so will the buffalo and even the impala and all of the elephants as well that we see. So the circle of life just in this small little spot. So we're not far from the burnt area. You're going to go up there and see exactly what has transpired up there and if any changes have happened. But in the meantime, it seems like Ralph has finally left his elephants. Let's go see what he's up to.
Well, everyone, I've just left the elephants for the time being because they are making their way towards Twin Dams. So I thought we'd just do a little bit of a loop and see if there's anything else transpiring in the area, and then make our way back down towards Twin Dams, and hopefully with a rendezvous avec les éléphants. And so that is the plan. And from here, I'm hoping that we can get a little bit of signs of the leopards, such as Hukumuri and Shadulu, because after Twin Dams, I'm going to head west, because Sydney is going to be covering the eastern side where Tandi was spotted, as well as Hasana. Oh, there he is. So we've come now into a similar area. I'm going to be just going straight past him, and obviously we do have a big enough area that we don't have to be in the same area, but we've just obviously crossed paths now, and I'm just going to be heading in a different direction to him altogether. We do give each other our flight plans for the day, but sometimes, you know, in between you just take a different road to what you said you were doing on your plan, and then sometimes you cross each other, that's all. But there's no point in us moving in the same area, because we need to spread out and have a look in different areas altogether. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to be going there. we'll have a look up here. And we're all mobile, and I'm sure the Juma vehicles will also be mobile soon from the lodges. So then we'll have even more eyes and ears out looking for any of these elusive cats, as well as anything else exciting. Maybe we'll see a honey badger today. I've got a good feeling about that. I'm hoping. I've only seen one, well, there were two in the sighting, but very fleeting. They ran off as soon as they saw me, but I was very excited. And so maybe we'll get lucky today with some honey badgers. That would be great. Now, Kim, I've got lots of elephant stories, but you want to know my favorite one. I can't pick between a few, and I don't want to say all the same stories all over again, but one of the most fascinating and one of my favorite stories was we were at in Puros, which is right in the northwestern wilderness of Namibia, and it's right on one of the ephemeral rivers called the Waterbuck, and this area has been on National Geographic and a number of other TV stations with documentaries, and I was actually involved with a couple of them. But in this particular area is frequented by the very famous desert elephants, or desert adapted elephants. And so I was at this time I was running a camping safari with some French guests, and we arrived there. There's nothing there except little clearings within the you know, in the vegetation next to the Waterbuck. And when I say ephemeral river, it's mostly only after the rains that it flows, and there is also a bit of an underground flow as well. So there's lots of trees, lots of greenery, and almost like these oases in the desert. And you camp in these mustard bushes, and while we were camping there, and it's very hot as well, obviously being in the desert, so there's nice little showers and long drop toilets. That's all they have, no hot water, but you don't need it because you're normally cooling off rather than trying to warm up. Anyway, one of the ladies went for a shower after lunch, and we were all just relaxing, getting ready for afternoon game drive or walk. I can't remember. We do both in that area. It's fascinating on both sides. And all of a sudden I heard a scream, bellow from, I wouldn't say the shower block, it's just like some reeds, you know, in a circle around a tree with the shower head coming out of that. And she screamed, and I went running, and from a distance I then spotted that there was an elephant right next to her shower. And what had actually happened was she was busy showering, and this elephant had walked up and put his trunk in underneath the shower head and was literally sucking the water as it was coming out. And so she was busy washing, and all of a sudden the shower went dry, so she looked up and there was just this trunk in underneath above her head, sucking out all the water. So she let off an almighty scream, and the elephant, I think, got as much as a fright as she did, and it sort of backed up and then just sauntered off. But it had obviously had a nice little drink from her nice cold shower, and they both got a surprise. But I think that was a nice little story that that I did have, one of my favorite, that I'll always remember about elephants. And well, it seems like I'm not the only one that's found the ellies.
Quite a very beautiful animal, eh? What a majestic animal. You know, elephants, where I come from, the capital city of Venda is called Thohoyandou. Thohoyandou, it means a head of an elephant. Not a group of an elephant, but I'm talking about a head of an elephant. So the elephant has got something to do with my totem. When my totem talks about the elephant trunk, so we are part of the elephants, because the elephants are part of those very powerful animals. I come from the royal family, and all these royal families there in Venda are related to the elephants. So the elephants, they prefer to drink what we like the most as well, which is the marula beer. So the marula beer is done from the marula tree, and I will show you this marula tree and tell you more stories about the marula tree as I'm driving, soon as I get one. So we've got quite a lot of things that we are doing guided by the elephants. Just think about the matriarchal social structure of the elephants. By the royal families, traditional leaders, it is a matriarchal system. The headmen, they don't take decisions. They are not having all the powers to control the family and the villages. The oldest aunt from my family is the one who takes the final decision. My brother is the headman as I'm talking now, but he doesn't have all the powers. He's not fully in charge. The person who is responsible to give orders is the matriarch. Here I'm referring to the oldest aunt, and is the one who decides who must have to take over. If she's not happy with someone who has been decided to take over the crown, if she says no, nothing is going to happen, because it's the one who must have to lead the ceremonies and everything. So you can see that how we live where I come from, we get guided by what the elephants are doing. I come from Toyando, which means head of an elephant. So now we are going to carry on and see if we can find more other interesting animals. It's quite a lovely animal. So let's see what Steve has got by the bushwalk. Maybe he's got something interesting.
Yeah, so thanks, Sydney. We're just getting into the burnt area now, and we're down in a little depression, and I found some very nice scrub hair dung, and obviously that connects to the scrub hair we saw before, but clearly this was done by one that was still alive. And the purpose for it is I wanted to just show you all how, if I come down here into sort of the depression, there's not too much vegetation around at the moment, but let's have a look, and we'll do it again up at the top, because remember the scrub hair dung is a good indicator of wind direction. You can see our wind today is absolutely pumping, isn't it? And that's down here in this depression, and because there's no vegetation around, not too many trees, the wind is still buffering through here. So if we find a nice thicket area where those zebras were hanging out, that really protected them against the wind. If we go up onto the top of the slope, you won't find animals there at the moment because the wind is just too constant, They need to be down somewhere where they can protect themselves. So we've just arrived. I'm going to walk up onto the burnt area and see if we can find anything of interest, because it's my first time walking in the area since the fire, and with that little bit of rain we had yesterday, it's a good chance we might see things sort of popping up. It might be too soon, but what can happen if you burn is there's often a little flush of the green that comes through on grass. It's called winter flush. That can happen. It's not ideal for grass because it makes it use resources it can need for later in the year. But what it does do is it attracts herbivores who like to come and feed on grass, most certainly. But what's interesting is if you walk through here with me, you'll notice that some of the grasses haven't burnt at all. Some are completely still here, and then there's little patches where it's been burnt. And that's purely because this area is a fire break, and it's been maintained as a fire break for some time. So there's not a huge amount of sort of material here to burn. And also, a lot of these grasses aren't very, very big with regards to sort of leaf material. So there's not a huge amount of, that is a forb. There's not a huge amount of leaf material here. And see the space between this one and the one that's burnt. It is an enormous gap. And another one. So there's a huge amount of open ground here, and that is because of overgrazing. There's a dam watering hole not far away from here. And overgrazing, trampling by animals, lots of feeding on the grass leads to these open patches, which decreases the sort of intensity of the fires, which is where you need a lot of fuel load. Mark, I'm sure we could find some scorpion holes. That's what's nice about when you burn like this. It really, really opens up. But have a look, Darby. We're going to do another one. We've just come about 15, 20 meters higher. And have a look at how much more powerful the wind is up here. It's very chilly. Very, very hard to maintain anyone's sort of thermoregulation up here. even a scrub hare with an enormous jacket like the one that he had for a long time until he got eaten. We'll look for some scorpion holes, Mark, definitely. But out here, who knows what you could find. There could be all sorts of things lurking around. First time coming through. Okay, so as I said, being close to watering holes leads to overgrazing, leads to a lower increase in fire. It appears as Ralph is on his way towards a watering hole himself.
And that watering hole be twin dams, and why it's called that is because there's one major big dam up top, and then there's a little bit of a smaller water hole just off on the soakaway below the water hole there, and then it goes across out of our boundary down in that direction there with all those big leadwoods there off in the distance. But these elephants haven't made their way through as quickly as I would have liked. But let's just stop and have a quick look here. It looks like there's a grey go-away bird on the opposite bank that's thinking about coming down for a drink. So that would be nice to watch. Can you see him there, Ferg? Just on that left-hand top corner. There we go. That's it. A pretty bird. Let's watch him come down for a drink. Not very good on the ground are the grey go-away birds, and you can see how the wind is putting his crest up as well, and it's quite choppy in the water. There he goes. It's a shame we can't see him drinking. He's going just behind that little mound of mud, probably getting nicely protected there from the wind. A little bit of a backwater or eddy. There we are. And a little three-banded plover coming into view as well. You can see how much bigger the grey lory, as we used to call him, the grey go-away bird, is in comparison to the little plover. Oh, there he goes. He had enough of a drink there, and you could see with those, with most birds, they have to, because they don't have a gullet. So what they've got to do is they've got to take a little sip and then put their head up, and that makes the water run down. There's only a couple of birds that do have gullets, and well, I want to challenge you to tell me which birds in the African bush or even around the world actually have gullets. Send your answers to the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat, whichever one you want. Let's hear it. Which birds have actually got gullets? Now there we've got the black-collared barbet, well spotted, Ferg. Very, very pretty birds. And that call that they have, they also sing in duet, and we say they go too puddly, too puddly, too puddly, too puddly. Or black, oh, he's just dropped down. He's on a little knobthorn. No, not a knobthorn, a leadwood, excuse me. That's a very silly mistake I made, but I was thinking leadwood and my mouth just said knobthorn. But beautiful birds, and very similar to the crested barbet in what they can do. But yes, so they're called two puddly, two puddly, two puddly in duet, or black-collared, 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 black-collared. Oh, there we go. Monogamous pair, most likely. Really getting blown around in the wind, and very nice that we can see. Now we've got both of them in shot. That is very pretty. Black-collared barbet. And everybody agreeing with me how pretty they are. Now Francis from Israel, thanks for your comment. You say such pretty birds. Absolutely. And one of the few that in winter still you see them in real bright colors like that. Oh, they're going to come down for a drink. Ah, lucky. Let's see now. Let's see if they've got gullets. Are they going to lift their heads up? I would suggest they will. Yep, you see that? So definitely not a barbet that has a gullet, enabling them to swallow and keep their head down. That is very pretty. They're also accessing a little bit of a spot where there's less wind, So not so much chop on the water. Oh, he nearly fell in. There's a little bit of a stretch, that. Come on, guys, send in your answers. Which birds have got gullets? Very pretty. They're lifting the head up and then swallowing. And with that bill, you could pretty much say that it's a granivore, because it needs that very thick bill to crack the nuts. Larry, you say a stork. I'm not quite sure on the stork. They might do, but I haven't heard of them having them. Michelle, you say turkey. Nope, a turkey doesn't have a gullet. It has to also drink and put its head up. So do ducks, so do geese. They all have to do that. Laurie, you say pelican. Nope, pelican also needs to take water and put his head up. He doesn't have a gullet. So a stork, that one is borderline. I think they don't have a gullet either. Now, I didn't hear who, but somebody said ostrich. Nope, ostriches don't have gullets. Jessica, that was you, sorry, but that's a wrong answer. Ostriches also have to put their heads down, they drink, and then they put their heads up. So they don't have a gullet. There's only two groups of birds that I know of, but I could be mistaken. There's two groups of birds that I know of that don't. And we could play with some other ones. Now, Bob, you said a parrot. Parrots don't have a gullet. They also have to put their head down and lift their head up to swallow down. So, Kathy, you say flamingo. Flamingos also don't have a gullet. When they put their head down and they're filter feeding, when they get something, or if they want to drink water, they still need to raise their head and actually use gravity rather than an organ to literally swallow down. So the birds that do have gullets, what you will see them do is when they drink, they'll put their head down and they'll swallow at the same time. So they've got that non-return valve, whereas the other birds don't. They've got to literally pour it down their throat. Whereas there's a couple of birds that do have a gullet, and it's wonderful to watch them when they drink, that they keep their head down and swallow the whole time, and actually more efficient in that sense. But I wonder what the advantages or pros and cons of having a gullet with the birds are. Lammy, you say pigeon. Aha! Now we're getting on to one group of birds. It's the doves and the pigeons that actually have got gullets, especially the doves. I'm not sure if all of the pigeons have got, but then there's some very sort of characteristic birds, or that's not the word I'm looking for. Endemic. Not that word as well, but there's a very special group of birds called the bustards, and especially like a Kori bustard that has that gullet. And you can watch a Kori bustard, which is our heaviest flying bird, put his head down at the water, especially in places like Namibia, and I know in where is it? Also in Kenya, in the Maasai Mara, we see lots of Kori bustards in Etosha National Park, and so you can often see them next to the waterholes, standing in amongst the antelope, drinking, and with their heads down, with their head down next to the antelope. So you've got zebra lineup with some springbok, and then you've got a Kori bustard drinking with its head down, just with all of them. So there's some wonderful photos of that kind of thing. And we've just spotted a little steenbokkie here. I hope he doesn't run away. Forward. There we go. We just found a little guy here. And let's just see, because he's making, like his name suggests, like a stone buck, a steenbok. And it's wonderful to watch all the smaller things out here as well, isn't it?
Well, we've managed to find ourselves a nice perch up on top of the hill. David himself is on a termite mound, and you can quite clearly see around me the sea of flames that was here at one stage, but there's lots of patches. There's lots of bits of grass that haven't burnt, and essentially from a biodiversity point of view, that is exactly what happens. You don't want to come out here and burn everything and have to be this homogeneous patch. You want it to burn a bit this way, a bit that way, a bit hotter here, a bit hotter there, a bit colder there, and you get these patches of organic material remaining behind, areas where animals can still secret themselves, still a bit of seed bed around, organic material to go back into the soil, and you can see it's actually, there's a sea of patches all around, and where David is sitting himself is actually on a little island that the termite mound has provided, a little island of refuge where the grass all around the termite mound has not been touched, and that's where the termite mounds and the aardvarks are so important out here, and why so many of the species have evolved to live and to roost and to nest and to whatever they do underground in holes created by aardvarks. So very, very important as the elephant in the creation of habitat. The beautiful holes created by aardvarks create the refuge that animals can use in an environment that is going to burn. It is part and parcel of what happens out here, and exactly what these areas are all about. Peter, you want to know which animals benefit most about control burns? Well, first of all, this control burn is primarily put in as a fire break. I mean, we're right on the sort of southern part of it now, and it goes all the way to the other side over there, and it's this band that runs all the way across. And the purpose of this specific burn is not about biodiversity, it's about safety. If a fire comes from the Buffelshoek side in the north, it comes roaring down here, what it's going to do, it's going to hit this wall of burnt grass and it's going to stop, and it's not going to run south. But the fire itself, as a management tool, that's one of the management tools, is protection of life and of property. But if you burn larger areas, like what's happening up in the Mara right now, it happens in much bigger areas in Kruger, is you can remove a lot of the dead material, a lot of the dead grasses, and the grasses themselves, you might not know it, you might not see it, but the grasses themselves are actually going to be stimulated by this burn. Right now they are burnt right down, but the roots are underground. The roots are still alive. They're in a dormant stage. As soon as there's rain, they're just going to come. If I had to add moisture here immediately, well, not like a magic trick, but it would within days come out, and it would be flushing, it would be green. The grass absolutely loves the fire. So you remove a lot of that organic material, a lot of the dead moribund material, so it increases and improves the grazing that's around, because some of the material gets quite stagnant and old and not very tasty and palatable, so the new growth comes back. And a lot of the species you find out here are not very tasty when they're old, but when they're fresh and growing, they really, really do benefit lots of the grazing animals. The birds absolutely love it, because there's like a fricasseed array of insects that get left in and around. Some of the seeds are stimulated in a lot of these environments by fire, and also the fire can also negatively affect certain plant species such as trees. If you get enough sort of grass material about this high, you can actually use it to burn and remove tree vegetation. But in this case, this is 100% a safety burn, but it's nice to walk through and to see exactly what we can find in and around. And what I did find, something that was beautifully revealed by the fire, is a whole lot of marula nuts that have not been opened. So now I'm allowed to make 4 new friends. Davy, have I given you one?
No.
I know you and I are friends already, but there we go. Let me give you that. There we go. Giving someone a marula nut with all the nuts still inside means that you're best friends. So these last 3 are for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Take them one at a time. Thank you very much. And now it seems like Wildebeest seems like Sydney has found an animal that also likes to come into burnt areas.
Yeah, I've got one of the very beautiful birds. You can see there, that's the fork-tailed drongo. If you look at the tail, it's like a fork, eh? You know, the fork-tailed drongo reminds me of some of the birds which can only learn their calls from their fathers and their neighbors. So this one, fork-tailed drongo, is like me, it's like Sydney, because here in South Africa we have got about 11 different languages. This fork-tailed drongo can speak quite a lot of different languages. I speak about 8 of South African languages. I speak Venda, I speak Shangaan, I speak Tswana, I speak Pedi, I speak Sotho, I speak Zulu, English, and Afrikaans. So Afrikaans a little bit off. So you can see that the fork-tailed drongo, when he's imitating the other calls, he is leading quite a lot of other different calls. So these birds, they go after these animals, but from working together with these animals, it's only the fork-tailed drongo who does get benefit. And now, if we can consider the symbiosis, the relationship between this fork-tailed drongo and the wildebeest here is called commensalism, because only the fork-tailed drongo is getting benefit and the wildebeest is not. You can see that the fork-tailed drongo, when they're moving wildebeest, he is also moving trying to catch some insects. In other words, these wildebeest, they're just waking up insects for this fork-tailed drongo to eat. So the wildebeest are one of those very interesting animals. Yes, they've got some poor eyesight. That is why people, they see them together with the other animals. I have been on a very interesting sighting of the wildebeest before, whereby I saw wildebeest, 4 of them caught by 6 lions in less than 1.5 hours. What happened is that these lions, they were not really interested on this wildebeest. It's just that they caught one wildebeest, and the remaining wildebeest keep coming to investigate what happened to their friend. And the lions took the second one, took the third one, and took the 4th one. And the disappointing part was those lions, they didn't feed on those wildebeest. They went to the waterhole and caught a kudu by the waterhole. Wildebeest were all eaten by these other different kind of scavengers. And these days I have seen they've got a tendency of running away and come back to more or less the same kind of the area where they departed from. So these animals, a lot of them died already, not because of the lion hunting them. They die because of a certain kind of a sickness. It's called a tanning disease. Here is whereby there's an insect that normally lays their eggs inside the nose of this wildebeest. And the larva sometimes can go up to the brain and disturb the sense of balance. As a result of that, the wildebeest is going to just start turning, get exhausted, falls over and dies. So the illness is called a tanning disease. To me, wildebeest is quite a very beautiful animal. If you look at his formation, you can see, look, the one that is right in front has got the brown on the forehead. That shows you that it's a female. The males, they've got dark color on their forehead. And that is how you can easily distinguish between the male and the female. So now I am going to see if I can find one of the big cats, one who hunts the wildebeest. I'm going to see if we can find some of the big cats. As I didn't get the question very well from Alan, the wind is too much here. Can you just please, FC, repeat the question for me? Yes, I'm not that very sure what is happening by the East Africa, but there is about 2 types of wildebeest. We've got the black and the blue wildebeest. So if there is a blue wildebeest taking place by East Africa, it means it is the same kind of wildebeest we have got here in Djuma Game Reserve. So if you look at the side of the neck, you can see it has got some stripes there. That is where this name striped gnu is coming from. So those stripes, we call them the brindles. That's why they call it a brindle gnu. So now I am going to move on and see if we can find any of the big cats. Let's now move on to Ralph and see if he's got something on his side.
Well, Fergus up in the crow's nest just helped me spot a zebra. And I know it's not very difficult to spot them out here in the bush, but I didn't see it. He's well hidden there behind just a little bit of the bush willow leaves, looks like. Oh, there's another one. I'm sure there's probably a few of them. There's at least two. It's nice. Yesterday we also saw a few zebra. Oh, look at that. A little bit of contact, but that one obviously wanted nothing to do with him. That's a perfect mohawk. Absolutely perfect. And the ever-present drongo just flitting about in the background there as well. Oh, and this one's got its tail. Hasn't been in any real fights then between his friends. And zebra often bite each other's tails off. They can be quite nasty towards each other. Well, there they go, disappearing off into the thickets there. That's it. And that's the grass just on the side of a termite mound. Very artistic, Fergus. Yes. Well, let's go and have a look here. Up here, straight up west, driving along this lovely sandy road. And well, speaking of sand, off to Steve.
Yes, well, we found something in the road, and talking about these lovely, amazing sort of animals out here that create the habitat, we found a track. Very, very nice track. And I'm going to just put down a little bit of a knife there to show you the size of this animal, and then also a little bit of a description next to it. It is indeed the track of an aardvark. And here are the toes. There's the toe there, another toe, and then the nails in the front. And if we reference it to this track here in the book, you can actually see it quite clearly there. Can you see it? There's the two toes, and that third one, and the nails in the front. That is the front foot of the right foot of an aardvark. And just cross the little track over here up ahead of us, and they, with these beautiful nails here, dig into a hole in the ground unbelievably quickly, looking for termites, and that's how they create all of these wonderful places for animals to hide in occurrences of fire. And I suppose we could even go in there if it got too hot, hey Davy? Yeah. But a very nice animal, one I have not seen yet in the Sabi Sands, but my time will come. Lots of tracks around, we see lots of tracks, and they're always in and around looking for termites. We've just got to find the right time of day to be looking. But an ecosystem engineer, because they have the ability to change their landscape. And if I'm not mistaken, there are 28 mammal species here that use aardvark holes for slumber, for rest, for hiding away from all sorts of things. So very, very important. And they've probably been around for a very, very long time. Feeding on termites and ants have been around a long time. So if you've specialized in that, it must mean you've been around for a long time. And here we go, through the wilderness again. Can you see how patchy it is? Well, I was talking about it before. We've got the burnt areas, we've got the open areas, and then even the trees. Now, to kill a tree, you really need an enormous amount of fuel, as I was talking about before. So that doesn't mean that this tree is dead. And this looks like a small silver cluster leaf. And how do we tell if a plant is dead? Well, you take a little branch and you snap it, and if it snaps, it's dead. But look inside there. Very green still. So no doubt the fire singed this plant. If I get a bit of a bigger one, if it bends and doesn't snap, it's still alive. Look at that. It's still alive. Just the little edges, the little twigs on the outside are dead. There's no chance. And this is not a very big plant, is it? It's quite small. It's just above my knee. Sort of halfway between my knee and my hip, and this plant has survived the fire. So that's what happens out here. These savanna plants are very well adapted for protecting against fire, and that's because of the bark that they have. If we go back down and have a look, you'll actually see that on the side here, where something has damaged the bark here, the fire's managed to get in there. But elsewhere along here, the bark is still very, very much intact. If I just scratch a little bit, it's still alive inside there, completely alive. And the bark is the protection. The aardvarks provide the protection for the animals to hide in, and the trees have their own protection in the form of bark. When animals such as porcupine or elephant damage this bark, they allow fire in, and that's how bigger trees can get killed by something they've evolved to survive against. But all part and parcel of the process. But you can see not a very big plant has escaped what we call the fire trap. So if you want to remove trees out of the environment, you need to get lots of fuel, lots of flame, lots of heat, and you need to burn the trees before they get to this sort of height, because this guy is still alive. Very good. I have. You're wondering if I've seen an aardvark, folks. I've seen 7. 7 now, yes. I saw a couple in the Kruger Park, and then the rest up in Namibia. So really, really special animals to see. I've seen one in Salati as well, not far from here. So 7 in total is my number, and I'm very proud of that number indeed. And if you want to see them, Namibia is a very good place to see them. They're all over the place. There's not as many predators around. That seems to be the reason. Seems to be the reason. A friend of mine was out there. She's out in Tswalu, a reserve out in the Northern Cape. She's on the other side in the west of South Africa, northwest. And the other day she, in one drive, saw 2 aardvarks and a pangolin. I know, she's very lucky, very lucky. Very, very lucky indeed. And I can guarantee you, Ralph Kirsten has got a lot to tell you about that part of the world, especially with pangolins and aardvarks.
Well, I have seen a few aardvarks in my life as well, especially down in the Eastern Cape. It seems like they are like a lot of the other animals down in that province, the people as well. They're quite relaxed and not really worried about too much. Even the elephants are very, very calm, chilled out. I don't know if it's for some of the plants that grow in the area and they've been feeding on that. I don't know, but the animals are rather relaxed down there, and the aardvarks, well, they're not as shy, I would have to say, and you often see them walking around during the day as well, which is incredible, because I've had a couple of guiding friends that have spent many, many years out in the bush and never seen an aardvark, and we've got a bataleur just flying very fast on our side in the wind here. He's just flown off there, and a little bit difficult with the roof that we've got on to show you now, so I'm going to keep my concentration on this hunt for Shudulu and Hukumuri, the 2 leopards that are almost nomadic, that keep coming in and then leaving before we can spend any real time with them. But I'm really still going to put in a lot of effort to try and find them. I saw some tracks a little bit further back of a male leopard. It's maybe a day or 2 old, and it looks like it might have been Hukumuri's. This is the area that he does like walking around, and he's got one toe that the nail shows in the track, and so it looks like it's quite an extended toe, and quite similar to his name, the Hukumuri, the hook on his toe. So it fits quite nicely. But I'm heading now towards the gate on the northwestern corner of the Djuma Traverse, and I'll then see if we can find any of their tracks. And I've found Shudulu here before, walking along here. It was right in the darker hours, once the sun had set, and the kudu were alarm calling just ahead of us here, and they actually indicated that she was here. And then I raced around and I was turning around in circles. Eventually I found her. And when the animals do start alarm calling at Shudulu, she runs away. She doesn't like to be, or her position to be given away. So, let's see. Are we going to be lucky this evening? Are we going to find some leopards? Well, we'll see what else we can find along the way as well. It would be nice to find those leopards. All right, as we continue on the search, I think the other guys are also in search of all sorts of things.
Yes, well, our fire talk continues, and we have found a beautiful little ant's nest, and we were talking about the aardvark and how important they are for creating ecosystems. Here is one of their food sources, ants, and out here in the savannah, and also in a number of other ecosystems, ants are so, can I move that leaf, Dave? Ants are so important in the distribution of seeds, of grass seeds normally, and what they call that myrmekokori, the movement of seeds or distribution of seeds by ants. And what the ants do is they actually take them in underground where they are safe from fire and from rodents and from whatever other predators there might be on the ground surface looking for them. And a very, very important thing, because that seed goes underneath the ground, the fire comes along and it cleans the entire top surface layer of all the other plant material, and then next time rain comes, those seeds underground, which have provided a beautiful little sort of nutrient source for the ants. The seed themselves are not eaten because they've evolved that way. They provide the ants with food, essentially sort of the chaff, and then the wheat itself, the food source, or the seed part, grows out of the ground. And because the ants have protected them underground, they're in a nutrient-rich area. The moisture gets in there. They're protected by the fire. They're also protected by all sorts of predation, and they come out and provide the creation of the grasslands once again. And if you just look out a little bit, here is the leftovers. Here's the leftovers, Darby, of sort of parts of the seeds that have been eaten, and just the bits and pieces that have been dumped outside of the ant's nest. The ants take it down there, use what they can. The seed gets planted, so to say. Some of them get eaten, I'm sure, and then eventually bits and pieces will come out in the form of new plants. Lily, ants are very, very cool, and there's probably more ants biomass on the planet than there are any other mammal species. So that is total biomass of mammals. So that is a very interesting thing to think about. And underneath the ground here, there is probably an enormous network. And we just found this little sort of trail along the ground that almost worked as its own fire break. And the ants are busy doing their thing. And they don't stop, working in a social colony, a community all unto their own, non-stop moving and feeding and looking after the queen, throwing the rubbish out, which is essentially just organic material, and at the same time providing the ecological role of seed distribution and primary food source for a number of species, including the pangolin. Pangolins quite enjoy ants with their very long tongue. The pangolin will walk along here. They've got this enormous long tongue. It's apparently almost as long as the body. I've only ever seen one. It was very cool. They'd be able to stick their tongue in there. It's a very long, sticky tongue. It would go all the way down into those holes and then come back covered in ants. Very, very funny. Very specialized, but very funny to see. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our ants on the ground, and it seems like Sydney's making it to Chitwood Dam. Let's see if he's going to find those lions.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Here where I am, the weather is changing. It's getting very windy. The wind is accelerating and it's getting very, very, very cold now. Let me just wear my jersey. I am here by Chitwood Dam now, hoping to go into the sighting of the lions. Some lions has been spotted earlier on in the area here, so I'm just on standby to see what is going to happen. So, but if you can check here, there are some of the very interesting animals I am watching. So it's very, very cold here. You can see one of the animals is just very relaxed there. That is the Waterbuck. It's quite on a very long distance. That is the male Waterbuck. You can see it's very much relaxed. And if you look at this Waterbuck, look at the hairs. You can see that the hairs are very much fluffy. So this animal has been designed in order to survive by the cold climates. But you know, these animals are not even aquatic. It's very interesting to see that these animals are very much well equipped to survive the cold climate, but they are not living there. So the waterbucks, reason for them to have this kind of fluffy hairs is that they are feeding next to the water holes, not because they go down to the water holes and swim or anything. Reason for them to have this kind of hairs as an equipment is that when they are threatened by the predators such as leopards and lions, their most target for safety is the water hole. So they go quickly down into the water holes, and they know the lions and the leopards are very much reluctant when it comes to getting wet. So that is how they outrun the lions. So now I am going to go down a little bit and see if there's any other activities taking place right in the dam. Because now when approaching the dam, the only animal I have noticed is the waterbuck. But apart from the waterbuck, I hope there's other animals here in the area. So let's see what we're going to find next here. Yes, I didn't get the name of the viewer who just asked the question now, but the answer is yes, these waters here are very much natural. Is the water... I'm battling to get the name right. So the water that we are seeing here, they are all natural waters collected during the rainy season. A third half. Thank you for the question. Okay. So I'm just trying to see here if I'm going to find some crocodiles here. Oh, yes, yes. Let me reverse and see. And look here, I've got something very, 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 very beautiful. This is quite a very beautiful sighting. Look there. I got something for you. Relax, not doing anything. That is quite a very beautiful animal. Yeah, you can see this is quite a very beautiful animal, just very relaxed there, not doing anything. Very big. Look at that. It is very, very surprising to see that in such a very cold weather like this, the crocodile closed his mouth, because mostly crocodiles, they relax with their mouth open. And reason for them to open the mouth is to get the sun to burn the inner parts of the mouth so that they can cool the whole body temperature. So look at those teeth coming out. The crocodiles, they've got quite a lot of teeth there. They've got over 60 teeth in that mouth. And those teeth, they don't stop growing. They never stop growing. Whenever they break any, they are going to recover it. It will come back. That is why the crocodiles can be able to survive for many years. And what I like about the crocodiles is that when they've got something, they catch, they eat, and they can also be able to regulate the body temperature. They can be able to slow down the metabolism. They can be able to slow down the metabolism in order to conserve the energy, so that they don't waste quite a lot of energy when it's cold. Their eyesight is not very bad, and they can be able to thank you very much for the comment with regards to the smile. So these crocodiles, they don't even got time to chew the meat. All they do is to just cut pieces of chunks and swallow them the way they are. As they are going to just swallow them like that. So when opening the mouth, you must check. The crocodile doesn't have a tongue. It doesn't have a tongue at all. So sometimes they open their mouth to attract insects. Insects such as the flies. They get attracted. They come there, and when they come, they get stick by their. They've got kind of a salivary. It's like a glue. Their saliva is like a glue where they stick these insects. And other insects, when seeing the other ones attached there inside, they think they are feeding. And that is what attracts more insects to come, and they eat these insects. These animals can jump, and they can also run. It's just that they don't run for a long distance. So they can be able to run for a distance of about 20 to 30 kilometers at high speed. But after that, they are going to get tired. So crocodiles... I've got a question from Paula, who would like to know the life expectancy of the crocodiles. Due to the fact that the crocodiles got the teeth which keep growing, it gives them a chance to survive much longer, because a lot of animals, they die as they start losing their teeth. So the crocodiles can be able to survive for approximately 150 to 200 years. So this is one of the animals with a very long lifespan. So you can see there, it looks dead. It's like a big log or something. Yeah, and let's go to Ralph. Ralph has got something to talk to us about the Impala. Let's see the Waterbucks.
And this is a very nice big herd of Impala here. We don't often see them in such a big group. There's one or two younger males there, but also a nice big one too. Those are just youngsters with that first little loop. They haven't. There comes a nice big male. I'm sure he's the dominant male here. And he's got a very nice big herd of females. Is that a little limp I see? Maybe he's been fighting. Maybe. They're constantly running around and trying to keep all the girls in check and chasing off other males. You see how that young male get quite scared of him, but he definitely does have a little limp. I'm sure it's probably from all his shenanigans chasing the girls and the other males away. There's lots of them here. Lots of females, and then a very nice light at the moment. Probably about 45 minutes away from sunset, half an hour, 45 minutes. So we're into that golden hour. It's only going to get better from here. There's a couple of clouds around. It's going to make for all sorts of different colors. And these Impala, you can see a little bit of their hair raised. They are feeling the cold a little bit already, the wind, so they raise that hair, trap the warm air on the inside there, keep themselves nice and warm. But the colors are very sharp at the moment. It's very pretty. As they move through, they are mixed feeders, so they'll feed on grass and leaves and everything in between. Fully vegetarian though, herbivores, but they do. That's one of the reasons why they are so successful, because they can eat on a range of different vegetable matter. Not specialists, are they? More generalists. And it's very important actually as a prey species. Not that that's the only thing that they're good for. There we go, there's an oxpecker and one of them, lots of them over there as well. Obviously a good habitat for them to be accessing. See how they're combing through the hair there, and they're looking for the ticks and things. Oh, really hard at work. It seems like the viewers and all of you agree with me on the beautiful light. It is very pretty now. Everything is very sharp, very crisp. You can see all the different contrasts. Very white belly. It's a little bit of a fawny colour and then almost brown on top. And little black tips on their ears. And those black markings on their rump and on their tail. Ooh, something gave them a bit of a fright there. Shame, I would never want to be an impala. You're always on edge. Now, Bob, yeah, they do look a little bit scared when they tuck their tails in like that. I think it's at the moment they're a little bit cold, and with the wind as well, that's why they're a bit edgy. Everything's sort of making them jump. So very easily spooked when it's windy. Everybody not knowing which way to look or listen. Must be so, it's very scary for them. They're always on edge, day and night. Never get a chance to rest. And that's why when the males also, when they start fighting with each other in the rutting season, they also get very easily taken down by the leopards. You see them hanging on all the trees all over the place, like Christmas trees. There's a young males there once again, just got that one little curl in their horns. So even though we see lots of impala all the time, it's always nice to sit with them a little bit. I think they're very often overlooked. And in Namibia, you get the very or special and endemic black-faced impala, found nowhere else in the world than in Namibia. And they're slightly bigger than these impala as well. So that's one to look up. If you guys want to look at a different species, have a look at the black-faced impala found in Namibia. And have a look at that. Very interesting. They look identical except for the facial markings and their slightly bigger size. But these ones just happily feeding now, apart from that little scare that they had. I'm sure it won't be the last one for this afternoon. They're going to get scared of all sorts of things. Well, I think it's now time to continue on the search for those leopards, Hukamuri and Shudulu, and well, I wonder if Sydney's gotten any closer to the lions.
Yeah, I am still waiting to see what is going to happen here by the lions. Yes, apparently the lions, they are somewhere very stationary in the area. I've already entered the area where they are, so I'm just waiting to get a chance for a sighting. So, but apart from the lion sighting, yes, I've got something very interesting to show you here. Let me just get off my vehicle a little bit and show you what is here. So you can see here we've got a demarcation point. So this is not the only way the animals are using in order to mark their territories. Sometimes you will see other animals doing like this when they're using the facial glands. And sometimes you will see they've got some of the black dots here on the side of their face, whereby they come and stick some of the fluid out for demarcation purposes. But some of these animals, they do the following. They come here and do something which is called pasting. And pasting, I want to warn you about this, because I know that pasting, a lot of people, they cannot recognize it when they see it on these grasses. Some of these animals, like the hyenas, they come and secrete some of the fluid through their anal passages, and they stick them on these grasses. And you will see the two markings. One will be dark and another one is going to be very, very light. So those markings, they can be very much detrimental to your health, To the people who prefers to come and use grass as toothpicks, you are going to ingest a lot of problems, because these kind of markings are coming through the anal passages, meaning that they come out with quite a lot of diseases. I have seen a lot of people doing this. They come and break the grasses after eating, and they use the grass as a toothpick. And I can promise you that exercise is not nice, especially if they are animals such as hyenas, civet and mongoose, because those animals, they demarcate their territories, make use of the anal glands. So you must have to avoid using grasses as toothpicks. So now I am just going to see if I can radio in the people who are already in the area, just to try and get hold of some updates. Yeah, any station by the lion sighting coming? So just to see if we can get some updates. Yeah, the wind is too much. The wind is too much here where I am. Even to hear what is going on in the area this afternoon is not easy. To hear the birds' calls is not easy. Yeah, Sydney, I'm standing by, Sad. Yeah, I am battling to hear that. Can you please come again? Okay, copy that. Please give me the direction if possible. I am here now by the dam wall, Chitwa Dam. Yes, I'm just trying to get hold of some of the directions, and yes, I think it's my turn now to go in. Now we can go to Ralph and see what he's got on the other side.
I'm just trying to keep myself warm in this wintry, blustery, chilly weather. And while I'm doing that, I'm also on the lookout for these leopards. So, yeah, I've got my Hulk hands on, as Fergus says. They do definitely help keep the extremities warm. So I'm going to do a little bit of a looping system now. I'm going to go past Sandy Patch here, then I'm going to go down Aubrey's Road, up Gallagher Road, and I'll stop in at that little pan, and then I'll make my way over to where Hosanna and Tandi were last seen. I'll have a look around on that side as well. Mary, that's a good question. Now I'm just trying to remember my taxonomy. Is an aardvark related to an armadillo? I think they might be. I think they might be related. I think they might be. They might be in the same family. If I'm not mistaken, which I quite possibly could be, I think they are in the same family. Yes. I don't think it's in the Swede. That's the pigs, the bush pig and the warthog. I'm just trying to think, what is the family of the aardvark? Now I've forgotten. I'm going to have to look in my book. Let me just pop my book open while I'm having a look. Let's do that. I'm going to stop here and just get us a view, and then I'm going to check in my book and answer that question properly. I'll have to take my gloves off. Sorry, Megan, just say that again. What does Google say? The ever-present Google. Okay, I'm not getting that. It's sorry? Eden Cater. Is that that you're talking about the binomial nomenclature, the genus and the My brain is freezing, everyone. The genus and the species, but I'm looking for the family. So you guys have gone all the way to the end of the line. You're not getting the one before that, because if we look at taxonomy, we say that King Philip came over for good son, so that means that it's kingdom, and King Philip came over for good son. That's how we always remember it. So it's kingdom, phylum, King Philip, class, order, family, genus, species. So that's how it goes. So we're talking just one up from the genus. It's the family, not the genus or the species. And now, Megan, I'm getting not much. Craig says they're not in the same order. Is that Batman? Batman? Which order are they in? We're not talking orders, we're talking families. Oh, James, not Batman. Okay, let's stop here for a little quick view. We're here near to Sydney's Dam, and I want to have a nice little view here. Oh, I think there's an elephant off there in the distance as well. And it's always nice to stop here, because if we hear these monkeys calling just off in the distance there, it's a good point just to stop. And while we are just looking at the view, I'll quickly access my wildlife book, which has got all sorts of different things in it, and you guys can enjoy the view while I just try and get my ducks in a row, my aardvarks and my armadillos. Righty. So James says they're not. Well, I definitely will believe him, but I just want to look at it for myself. 176. Right. Okay. I think the pangolin and the aardvark are pretty close to each other, but they're not. Pangolin now, I'm also just seeing the genus and the species. I'm not getting the families here in my very general book, so I'm going to have to look that one up. So anyway, James, that was the answer in the short and sweet of it. No, they're not in the same family, but I just wanted to get a little bit deeper into it than that, but I don't have enough resource with me right here. So we'll just then continue on enjoying the view, and you can still see how much wind is blowing through, and these clouds now that have arrived en masse. And I'm sure sooner or later we're going to get a little bit of rain as well. The cold front has hit, but as you might know, any of you weather gurus out there, generally the rain sort of comes post the front making itself through an area, or moving through an area, and then it's sort of widespread rain after the front goes through. So we're experiencing the cold front now, and further south and east along the coastline, all down sort of below the interior or the Highveld, down towards the coast, has now experienced very widespread rain, and a lot of it, and it's very welcome, because we have been in the grips of quite a devastating drought. So that is very welcome, these clouds coming in. Miss Anom, you say this always looks like a painting. It definitely does. African sunsets are always beautiful, and there are very beautiful sunsets all around the world, but here in this particular area, it is definitely one of those beautiful spots to stop and look. I like coming here to Sandy Patch at this time of the day, and I'm not hearing any monkeys alarm calling, unfortunately. That's not taking away from the beautiful view we have here. Fergus doing his best impression of an alarming monkey there in the back. Alright, let's head off and see if we can find ourselves something with spots That's what I would like to do. And while I continue on the search, it seems like Sydney has found us some big cats.
Yes, I've got quite a very beautiful sighting here. You can see the majestic cat is just very relaxed on top of the termite mound there. Beautiful, eh? So I'm not just too sure if he's the only one there or the small lions nearby. Concentrating a lot, yeah, because there's some of the birds making noise on that side where she's concentrating. There's a little bit of noise, but they're just all bird calls. You know, birds, when it comes to cats, they get very much concerned. They don't trust cats. So the lions, they spend much of their time during the day sleeping. So they can sleep as much as 18 hours. But now, after dark is when they do a lot of walkings, and also early in the morning. Yeah, very much, you know. Oh. Look at that. Beautiful, eh? I'm so happy to see that people are so excited about finding these lions, eh? Yeah, but it was not easy, eh? So, but here where we are, the wind is not that very much compared to that side of Juma this afternoon. Yeah, there is a little bit of wind here, but it's not too much. Earlier on, it was too windy. You know, the female lions is the ones that can be very much dangerous because it's the ones who knows very well all the hunting tactics. Males, they don't do these hunting activities unless the males are kicked off from the head and now from the pride and become solitary. They don't have a chance. It means they've got to hunt for themselves. So there is some elephants as well in the area. So you can see the concentration of that lion is on the elephant. I can hear some elephant breaking branches. Yeah, Rocky, you're right. Eh? A beautiful cat indeed. Look at that. So that cat looks very small when it's there, but if you can stand now, you will see that it's quite a very big animal. So if you look there, on top of the eyes, the lions, they've got some markings. When they close the eyes, it's like they've got false eyes there on top of their real eyes. They're not even worried about us being here. Yes, Paula, I didn't copy the question very well, but I just hear that the difference between male and female lions. Yeah, the lions, you can check, you know, when they're still very young, the little male and females is quite very difficult to tell because that is when it's before they develop the mane. But once they grow and start to go to reach maturity is when the males are going to start to develop hairs here on the neck, and that is how you can then start to distinguish between the male and females. I just want to try to see if there's only one lion here or there's more lions here where we are. Yes, there's no other movement. I'm only seeing that one. Yeah, let me just try and drive around here and see if we can find more, just to check how many, because you can see now this one is just by herself and is very much relaxed. So now let's go to Steve and see what Steve has got on the other side while I'm trying to see how many and what's going on in there, here in this lions.
Thanks, Sydney. How interesting. What lions are those that you got? Very, very interesting. Well, sorry about us being down for a while. We had some technical issues that have been resolved. But there is Dave and his marula kernel with the seeds inside. What we're going to do, we're going to eat them. First of all, we need an anvil of some sort. Here we found a perfect log of a red bush willow, nice and hard. And I found myself a very nice rock. And now, boys and girls, if there's any boys and girls watching, don't do this at home, because this can be quite painful if you miss. I'm just going to smash it. And a little bit harder than that. There we go. There's the little lid, the cap that comes off of the seed. There's another cap over there. This is often what we find the squirrels that munch out. And then if I clear, you see the white inside. That is what we're looking for. There's the money right there. There's the money. A little bit of it coming out. Now, I got this very nice little thorn here. That thorn is going to help us to pop these seeds out. Very nice and oily. Very nice and oily. And that is very tasty. Obviously, I've hit it a bit hard, so the seed hasn't come out very nicely. But very edible. Very tasty. And there's some here for Davey too, if you'd like, Davey. Yeah, sure. That's a little bit better. Now you can make a very nice oil out of this. The way to make oil out of products, out of things, is to basically boil them and then let the water cool. And then the oil separates from the liquid. You just scoop it off the top. And you can use it as a very nice lip balm. Lip balm, probably a little bit better than Steph's snail balm from this morning. If you were watching that, I believe it looked quite interesting. Stefan himself was rubbing snail oil all over his lips. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful nuts for Darby to eat this time. Ali, the taste is it's nothing like a macadamia, I can tell you. A little bit like a walnut, a little bit. Hey, Darby? Yeah. We already had one. We were down for a little while. Yeah, Darby, this is for you. Let me just get it into your hand. There we go. Oopsie. Oopsie, we're losing it. So you can tell how strong the wind is there, folks. We nearly lost half the nut. Very nice. Very nice. And it's a nice little, lots of protein. Also very, very healthy for you. And as I said, the oil, very nice this time of year. Especially in wind like this, we get quite chapped lips from the wind, and that's why Steph was rubbing his lips this morning. I've got a couple more of those, and maybe I'm going to be making some of that oil for the Medicinal Mondays in the near future. I will be. I've got a whole handful of them at home. Well, we're walking off. Oh no. I have lost my stick. Well, I'm going to have to make a plan for that. In the meantime, let's go over to Ralph, who's busy driving.
Well, my plan, as I said before, I'm heading straight towards that little Galago pan, which is behind the Galago Lodge. We're going to go and check there and just see if maybe Tingana pops up. I'm just going to stop there for a little while. This is about the time of evening that he might do a little bit of rasping or sawing or chuffing, any of those noises or description of the leopard call. Do some of that would be perfect, because then we'd know exactly where he is. So I'm nearly there. We'll I'll just pop in, and the clouds are now starting to change all sorts of colors with that sun starting to set down towards the horizon. So I'm very glad that Sydney was able to find those lions. That's fantastic. Haven't seen lions for a little while. And yeah, it would be nice if they made their way down here onto Djuma. There's been a few tracks around, but very intermittently. Haven't seen them regularly at all. It's pretty much the same with Hukumuri and Shudulu. When did I see Shudulu? I saw her about 10 days ago, I would say, and it was very quick. I saw her in the morning, followed her around for a couple of hours, and then she left the property as quickly as she came. I hear these crested francolin now. They were doing a lovely duet there. Chitcher, chitcher, chitcher. It's quite strange. Sometimes you only hear one of the couple doing a call, almost like the other one has either met an unlikely death, or it's just not willing to call with its partner. It's having a bit of a tiff where you just hear chee, 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 and there's no chir. Oh, that looks well, Fergus. Say when. A little bit more. We're going to have a very artistic shot here, folks. This is going to be good. Have a look at that. Beautiful. There we go. Sun really going down now, and you can see how moody the sky looks. And with that dead tree in front, really making for a lovely setting. Look at that. That is a sunset of note. Wow. And the colors are changing literally by the second. There's orange and pinks and blues, and some of the clouds are really also changing color. As the sun now, you could almost watch as it goes. It won't be long. And what is it? I heard is it about 70 seconds that when the sun sets, that it has actually set is it 70 seconds? I can't remember. Geesh, I'm losing all my books of knowledge in my head. Because obviously the light takes a certain amount of time to get from the sun to the earth, and so when we see that the sun is set, it's actually set quite a substantial amount of time before that, and that light takes that time to reach us. But at this time of year, it definitely does go down rather quickly, and you can actually watch it as it disappears now, going down behind those sticks and those branches. It won't be long, and it will be completely gone. And then the colors will change drastically once again, as they still get a lot of reflection. Oh, it's going purple now, those clouds in the background. They really are looking pretty. Do you see that? Really going down fast. As we see the wind blowing. Look at those colors. Look at that. Getting ever more moody, and now we've got like that glowing honey pot at the base of that tree with the purple sky and the clouds helping the colors show themselves. Whoever would have thought a dead tree could look so pretty? Okay, I think that's a perfect little stop. And now you know that the sun is setting once again here in Africa, and now it's time for predators.
Yeah, look at that predator, huh? It's just very much relaxed. I was trying to check around here just to see if maybe there's other lions in the area, but it seems like she's not alone. I have not yet noticed any other member of this family. Still looking. Maybe one of them is going to come out anytime soon. Yeah? It's quite a beautiful sighting, eh? So look at that. You see, when the temperature is down like this, it doesn't bother these animals. The cats, they enjoy it. Lion. I always call them lie on because they spend much time just lying down. So look at that paw there. So the females can be very much protective. Yeah, a question from George about the age of this lion. I'm not very sure about the age of this lion. This is my first sighting on this family, so I'm not too sure, but I know lions can survive about 13 to 15 years, and to me this one looks a little bit old. So these lions, the females, when they've got cubs, they must have to go and isolate themselves. They must isolate themselves and hide them somewhere far away, because if they don't do that, they will be risking the chances of their little ones to survive. So lions, they've got difficult rules. So even males, Yeah, there's a question from Angie. I didn't get that question very well, but it seems like it's about the identification of different lions in the area. So the lion stays in prides, and these prides, they don't mingle together. So it's very much easy when coming across these lions to identify this pride is the Unkuhuma pride, and this is the Avoca males, so we can be able to easily identify that. But because of working together with them every day, we end up like becoming part of the ecosystem. She's just trying to concentrate on that call from the bed. But maybe she's going to lead us to where the others are, or the other ones might come to where she is. We will never know. But she's not interested in a lot of things, There is a question from Isabella about the lions, males and females, if they are both territorial. The lions, the females, they can also defend their territory, because if you can check, lions, when they are staying as a pride, these females, they always make sure that they don't get other females coming from the other groups. So they always make sure that they defend their families. So they don't want their membership to change. They only accept the changes with regards to the membership of the families only when there's a death or when there's a birth. So apart from that, they defend. So females can be very much protective and aggressive in these territories. So how lions demarcate territories is interesting. They use scent markings. You will see sometimes they stand upright against these trees and put some of the facial glands. That is when they're trying to leave behind their scents. So lions, they can be very strict. When there's an intruder, if the intruder wins the fight, he knows something about the females. Mostly the female lions, when they're under stress, is when the pituitary gland from the brain kickstarts a lot of hormones which will then drive the female to go back on hit. Let's see if maybe there is any other changes taking place there. So not much is happening. No, it's just very relaxed. Let's go to Steve and see what he's got on the other side by the bushwalk.
Thanks, Sydney. Who is that cat? Slowly heading back, and look at the wind down in the depression. Very, very soft, very low. This is where you expect to find animals trying to hide away in the drainage lines, where lots of thick bush, lots of sort of cover for them. And just coming down here, you just feel the immediate sort of buffering effect that this vegetation has. And the sun has set in the west. As Ralph says, it descends very quickly this time of year. And you feel the change in the temperature immediately. Super glad I brought this jacket from earlier. Jill, that is a good question. Probably a lot of animals can go more than one day. I mean, we can go for about 2 weeks, I suppose. I don't know if we'll do very well. No, 2 weeks is a bit long. I don't know, Jill. I really don't know. I think a lot of certain animals have got the ability to sort of get moisture out of the environment, but no animals really want to. So they've got the adaptations. It's a very good question. How many can go? They'll drink if they can, but some animals can go longer than others, and I don't really have a definitive answer for you because there's a lot of animals out there. Giraffe, for example, don't need to drink all the time. They concentrate their urine, so as they give a much lower sort of water outtake. Birds don't need to drink too much. They probably drink more than we think, but they give out uric acid, so like a solid mass of urea rather than the actual ammonia that comes out in our urine. So that's, and frogs or reptiles, they all absorb all the moisture in their body, and there are certain small rodents and things that can do the same thing. But most animals, I mean, you see elephants when they urinate, they drop a huge amount of water. Most mammals need a lot of water for survival. We've come from a placenta, we've come from an environment of water, and we are completely committed to it and dependent on it for the rest of our lives. There's not a single mammal that can go for a long period of time without water, but the exact degree of that is hard to say. We could probably go a couple of days without water, but then we'd really, really struggle. Some of our sort of more specialized herbivore animals, such as... oh, that was a cool bird. He's gone, sorry, I didn't quite see him. Some of the specialized herbivore animals are more sort of water independent than others, but then they do get a lot of moisture from the environment. It doesn't mean that they don't get any water. They get it from what they drink. They lick dew, for example. They don't have to go long distance to drink. Steenbok are one of them. And we're right here at a watering hole, and there's a couple of birds just on the side there coming in to drink. So animals will choose to drink if they can. But animals that live in the desert obviously aren't able to all the time. Gemsbok have the ability to go for a while without moisture, but then they can dig and bring up bulbs and sort of cucumber-like fruit that they'll feed on to get lots of moisture. And a lot of birds also get moisture from the insects that they eat. It's just a fork-tailed drongo who's enjoying the wind. And as we came out of that depression, you can see how the wind has picked up again, just by the way that fork-tailed drongo is flying. Okay, well, the bushwalk team is slowly heading back due to the darkness. And with regards to Medicinal Mondays, I'm off in the morning tomorrow due to the rotation we have, but we'll be doing it on Tuesday morning. Do not worry, do not fear. But from the bushwalk team, it is going to be a very good evening to you. And let's go back over to Ralph.
Goodbye, Steve, and to the rest of the bushwalk team. Thanks, guys. Make your way back home safely. I'm sure you will be able to find your way, hopefully, before it gets dark. I don't think they were too far from camp, so they should be fine, I hope. But now we're coming up towards where Thandi and Tlalamba were spotted yesterday. And so I'm just going to go in there because Sydney went to the Lions, which is out on Chitwa. So I think now I've checked the western side, and so I'm coming back east to check whether the leopards were yesterday. So I'm just going to go in here and have a look. Hopefully we can see them maybe walking on the road. That would be the easiest. They've been in this block here and it's very thick, very thick. So unless they do come out on the road, or they're walking as we come past and their tail is curled up, you can see that nice fluffy white color. It's almost impossible to spot them. So it's always almost just a lucky dip or a lucky draw. We come past. C'est la bonne chance en français. Allez les bleus. Have to put it in there. Although I'm back in Croatia, I think, this evening, because they're the underdogs, and there's only 4 million people that live there. So that would be fantastic. It would almost be like Namibia winning the World Cup. One of these days, maybe South Africa will make it to the finals once again. We haven't made it since, what was it, 1998 or something, when we had... and 2010, because we were hosting it. Anyway, I'm going to now look for these leopards. But let's head on back to Sydney with the lions.
Yeah, it's quite a lovely sighting. Amazing. I have just now discovered that this lion is not alone. There are two females working together. It's just that the other one is quite very difficult to have a sighting from here where I am. I will try again and see if we can have a good sighting. I saw that the second one just stood up earlier on. She's somewhere in these thick bushes, so maybe she's going to come back again. Look at that. Beautiful, eh? So the cats are very much clean. Yes, I didn't copy that, Kathy. You can see now the activities have just started. That one is up now. Yeah, the males, they tend to form their own groups, their coalitions, for safety reasons. Yes, that is true. I just want to try and reverse and see if I can have a better sighting since that female just woke up now. So let me try and see if we can find her from this side here. So it can easily get disappeared, yeah? Oh, there she is. There she is, eh? She's just very relaxed looking at me. So you can see there she is. She's not even worried about anything. So let me try and see if we can have a way much better sighting here. You can see there. You can see her there. She's trying to walk much more towards that side. Let's see if we can have a better sighting from here and see if she is after something, because I can see this something attracting her. Yeah, I think she is trying to investigate something here. So you can see she has been thinking and thinking. Let's see what she's trying to do now. Yeah, the lions can have 3 calves, 3 calves. So Peter, they can have 3 calves. So now we can go to thermal camera and see what is happening. Look at that. So it seems like she is attracted by something here. I'm just trying to see what is attracting her here in this donga. You know, these animals can see better than we do, and they can also hear better than we do. But I saw that she is attracted by something. Yeah, while still trying to check what she's up to, let's go to Ralph.
Well, everyone, I'm moving in the area around Buffels Hook Dam. We're going to come out there soon, and this is where Thandi Tlalamba and I think Hosana also was spotted in this general vicinity yesterday. So Hosana, the youngster, has returned onto Juma, the young leopard, young male leopard. Seems like I was chatting to Tristan last night, and he thinks that that's just the typical dispersal behavior of a young leopard. He'll maybe come back a few more times, and his circle's going to get a little bit bigger, and he'll eventually then stay off in some other area. And he went down all the way down to Londolozi, and he was spotted there. I saw some photographs online of him with some impalas up a tree. I think he was also in the Kruger Park. He's been all over the place. I do see a little light up ahead. I wonder what that is from. Maybe another vehicle here. Never fear. So yeah, he's definitely been wandering around. And he's a little bit younger than Hukumuri, so he's also quite a bit smaller than him as well. So he wouldn't be challenging anyone just yet for a territory, especially not Hukumuri. I'll just wait here and let this vehicle come past us. Now, CNAC, yes. I'm just letting the vehicle go past here. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Ah, it's very quiet. Only the elephants down in them little wati. Yes. You guys? Quiet.
Tracks of dollar, but they right across Jonas place.
Yes. Okay. All right. Sorry guys, but we are live at the moment, so is that all right, eh? No, you won't be in live, don't worry, eh? Have a good evening. I wish you all the best of luck. Okay, and enjoy the nice weather. All right, CNAC, tsetse flies, they do transmit disease, and the famous one is that of sleeping sickness. So the tsetse flies will bite people and antelope, cattle. I'm pretty sure, I know cattle do get it. I don't know, I think there are some animals that are immune to it. Excuse me, but it does have a very debilitating effect on animals, and as the name suggests, it makes you very lethargic, and eventually you just want to sleep all day, and eventually you can die from it. So that's a bad one that tsetse flies carry, and a lot of areas in southern Africa, as you go north northern southern Africa. They do have a lot of sort of tsetse fly control points, and they spray, and you've got to get out and walk with your feet in some of the insecticide, etc. I've just come up to Buffelshoek Dam here, or waterhole, and let's see if this is Scuba Steve. I think it might be. Mr. Scuba Steve looks like he's all on his own again. There he is, down on his lonesome in the water there, just enjoying the lapping water around his eyes and looking at us. Looks rather sad, doesn't he? Maybe he got left. Maybe he's just not a very nice person. I don't know. What do you think, Ferg?
He's just boring as gravel.
He's boring as gravel. So maybe, because there's often visiting girls here, but it seems like he can't keep them around. Maybe he's just a bit boring. Scuba Steve? He does look a bit boring, doesn't he? He's either bored or boring, one of the two. But with the water like that lapping at your face, it must get quite irritating. Sure, sooner or later, this evening, he's going to go out and do a bit of feeding. Maybe he'll meet up with and have a bit of a blind date with somebody out here. Who knows? But he seems to definitely have commandeered this waterhole as his. And I don't think he's getting much competition for it. It's just really strange that he's on his own again.
Head, your head.
Paula, you think that he just likes the single life? Well, he doesn't seem to like that. And Ferg, whatever you said to him, you definitely insulted him.
I said your head was in the middle of the shot.
Oh, my head. Sorry, head. Okay, I didn't know what you were saying. Sorry, Ferg. Well, I don't know. He's not liking that we've been insulting him here. Oh, he's on the move. What is he doing? Now he's putting himself out there a little bit more so we can see a bit more of him. I love the way they shake their ears with hippos. It's always nice. There we go. Oh, he's actually really showing off now, isn't he? Eh? I think you're really cool, Scuba Steve. They just don't understand you. I think that's the case. I really like coming out here and seeing him. I mean, previously he used to just show us his nostrils. He was really shy, really Uncle nervous when we came here. Just show us his nostrils, just breathe it through them and then stay under the water. Maybe it's because the water's a bit too cold now. He's not... But, no, he would never do a show like that. So he's definitely calmed down with us around. But, well, for now, he's disappeared. I think let's do the same. I'm sorry for the head once again. Sorry, my nose is also starting to run a little bit now. And so let's continue on the search for those cats. And from one big animal called Scuba Steve, let's head you on over to those lions.
Yeah, look at that. It is still quite a lovely sighting, but there is no sign of any other intention from relaxing. There is no sign of any other intention apart from relaxing. They split it a little bit. The other one is maybe about a distance of about now 50 to 70 meters deep in these thick bushes. So this one is just on top of this termite mound and is the one who was showing some interest on something, but for the past few minutes nothing has been happening. She's very much relaxed here. You can see they can hide very easily. Look at that, she's very much camouflaged there. not easy to pick up that there's a lion there. So the lions, they can weigh a lot, up to 160, 170 kilograms. Yeah? So they can weigh a lot. Yeah, you can see her. Now she's sleeping very relaxed. So these are the animals which are associated with the call of Africa. The roar of the lion in the morning is fascinating. It makes you feel that you are in the wild, you are in Africa. Yeah, Skipper, I'm not very sure when it comes to the weight between, exactly the weight between the male and the female, but obviously the males, they weigh much bigger than the females because of the size. So the males, their weight is much bigger than the females. These animals have got a very good eyesight. Also at night they can see very nicely. So when the lions are not happy, they will show you their canines. But now he was just yawning there. He was not up to anything. Annabelle, the wind makes it very difficult for the lions because, remember, these animals such as prey, they learn to identify the scent of their predators. So the lions, when they're hunting, they also consider wind direction. So look at that. This is beautiful. Now I am not going to talk loud. I'm going to whisper because I can see that she's nice and close and I don't want to disturb her. She's disappearing now towards the thick bushes. Yeah, I just got disappeared. So I'm going to try and see if we're gonna have the better sighting again after this lovely sighting of one of the females. I'm just gonna go around and see if I can find the second one. And the second one, when I saw her earlier, I think in terms of the size she was a little bit much bigger than this one. So now we can go to Ralph and see what he's got on the other side.
Well, there we go, everyone. The lights are out and the sun is gone. So now it's shifting focus to purely predators, because we're not going to be looking at many of the daytime animals unless we see something really special. And the moon has also come out now. I think it's first quarter. It has been dark the last couple of evenings. I think it is now waxing first quarter. Now, Paula, one of the most dangerous insects in the bush. Well, let's think about that. Here comes another vehicle. I think it might be the same one. Yep, it is. We'll just slide past them. Can I come past here? There we are. Most dangerous insects in the bush. Has he gone off now as well? There we go. We'll just wait for him to pass. I'm just thinking now, what is the most dangerous insect in the bush? Howdy, folks. Let me think. We've got blister beetles, which are not dangerous, but they can definitely really make you full of blisters. We've got spider wasps that can sting very badly. I've been stung by a spider wasp right on my forehead. I was showing some students some different leaves and things, and I pulled on a branch, and out from this bush came a spider wasp, and he stung me right there. And then it looked like I'd been in a bar fight the next day. Both my eyes swelled up and they went blue. Yeah, so that was quite nasty. What else? You know, obviously we're not talking about arachnids. That would be your scorpions and your spiders. At this stage we're speaking bees. The African honeybee can be quite dangerous, especially to somebody that might be allergic. There's lots of people that die, but only that are allergic to bees. Now, what's quite interesting about allergies like that as well, you can have an allergic reaction on any given one time, and sometimes it can just be as a result of getting an overload of the venom. Because my mother, she's been stung her whole life basically by honeybees and never even, you know, worried about it. Yes, of course you get quite a big swelling wherever. It depends on where it stings you. And so I think at the time she was about 60 years old. She was mowing the lawn on a sit-on lawnmower, and she went below one of our apricot trees, and there was a swarm of bees that attacked her, and she got stung, must have been about 20 or 25 times, so quite excessive. Anyway, she went inside, she got rid of all the stings, you know, because with honeybees, it literally pulls out half their abdomen with that venom sac that comes with it, and they actually die immediately after that. So she pulled out all of these, well, scraped them out with the back of a knife, because you don't want to press those venom sacs, because then you press all the venom into you. So you want to scrape it out with the back of a knife. So she got them all out, the ones that she could find or whatever, and she went back to mowing the lawn. And an hour or so later, she felt that her tongue was getting really big or like heavy, and within 10 minutes from that she was struggling to breathe. And she raced up, she got in the car and she raced up to the chemist, which was just up the road from us. And the lady there took one look at her and she said, "Get in the car, I'll drive you to the hospital," which was about another 15 minutes away. And by the time they got there, they had to give her adrenaline, and the doctor sort of said another 10-15 minutes and she would have been dead. And my mom couldn't believe it. She was like, "But I've been stung my entire life." He said, "Well, you've been stung now quite a few times, and this has obviously brought on an allergic reaction." So since then, she's had to have an EpiPen with adrenaline in case that she's been stung. But she's been stung subsequently and nothing has happened. So it's you can have actually an allergic reaction on a specific point like that as well. So I would have to say, so that's just something interesting about allergies to these insects. But I would have to say that honeybees probably are a big cause, or one of the bigger cause, in terms of insects. Close calls with death, or even death itself. A lot of the times also when you get very big thunderstorms, they can become quite aggressive, and when it's extremely hot, they can also be a little bit aggressive. And once they sort of start, or they target an individual, they sort of give off the little dance, and I don't know if it's pheromone related as well, and they just literally attack. And even I've heard stories of kids being attacked, and they went and jumped in the farm dam. They swarm above the dam, and as soon as the guys come up, they start stinging them again. So it can be, I'm sure, quite scary in that kind of being attacked. I think in America, I think the African honeybees has actually made their way over there, and they call our African honeybees killer bees. if I'm not mistaken, and they are exotic. I think you also do get some other killer bees, but the African honeybee, I know, is also termed that in America. But obviously it does have devastating effects on some of the other bees, because they don't have, well, they're bigger, they're more aggressive. And so even on a small scale, we have these exotic alien invaders, you know, where they normally naturally occur. They're perfect and they've got their predators and there's their balance. But when you introduce them to other areas, I'm sure it would have been because of the honey and the very good wax that they make as well. You know, you start getting all sorts of problems because you've upset the balance, and then you don't have natural predators, etc. So I think they're getting a little bit out of hand there. But that's something interesting. So wasps, paper wasps as well, can be quite scary when they get these swarms of, or you know, nests of paper wasps. And they also get quite big. They're brown, and you can get, you know, from 30 to 50 of them on a little nest. I remember we were fishing one day on this, it's called Bass Lake, south of Johannesburg. And we used to ride our bikes down there. And the water is crystal clear, and it's an old mine quarry, and the water crystal clear. So we used to stand up on the cliffs, and we could see these massive bass busy swimming past. And so we used to lob our plastic worms at them. And while we were fishing the one day, two of us next to each other, these swarms of wasps came out from underneath the cliff. And so we both got stung, and my friend, he ran and jumped on his bike and ran. I jumped through the swarm into the dam, and they chased him on his bicycle, and they kept stinging him. I could hear him going all the way up the hill screaming. And I was in the water. They left me alone and they went after him. So he was literally the bait, and then I carried on fishing. So anyway, that was quite dangerous, but also quite funny in hindsight. Now, I'm going to carry on searching, but let's head you on back to the ever-present lions.
Some activities are taking place. There has been some little bit of development as one of these lionesses led us to a carcass. You can see now she's trying to feed. This lion we are watching now is not the one we have seen earlier. The one we have seen earlier moved up north. This is the second one which was hiding by the time we had the initial sighting. So it's just two of them. It means they assisted each other to take down their prey. Yeah, the lions, they've got to eat quite a lot because, you know, they don't eat every day. So they're going to eat now, and they will spend about 4 to 6 days without the next meal until the whole digestive system takes place and eat everything. So the predators, for them to go and hunt, they must have to be motivated by hunger. If they're not hungry, they don't really worry much about hunting activities. It's quite a very beautiful sighting, eh? Yeah, all you can hear is this lion crashing the bones. They've got very strong teeth, you can see. Listen to that. You can hear that lion crashing bones. That was too difficult for him, so he had to throw it away. So these lions are going to be eating here, and they will eat a lot of kilograms. Listen to that. So their stomachs, they are going to get full very easily, because when they're eating, they eat and they also take some of the bones in there. So in terms of the weight, they can be able to eat now and consume up to approximately 40 kilograms. That is a lot of food. Yes, Tony, that is true, because I saw the other female that we saw earlier. We saw a little bit of a sign of a blood on her as she was moving. It's just that lions, when they catch, they just got blood everywhere. But they've got a strategy in order to get rid of the blood. You will see they lick their legs a lot. When they're licking the legs, they're trying to take off all the dirty and all the blood from the legs. Because if they don't do that, that is going to spoil the chances of them taking down the next prey. Because all these animals, they will be able to pick them up from a distance. Yeah, let's go to Ralph and see what he's got now from his spotlight.
I've got the trees blowing in the wind, and I've now decided to come up towards Quarantine, which is right near to our camp. But very often at this time of the evening, you can have the wildebeest and the zebra and impala. Oh, there's all sorts of lots of eyes. Now, I think Megan's trying to tell me something, but I'm not quite getting it. Okay, well, there we are. It's not important. Let's go and have a look here. So lots of eyes here on Quarantine. I know it's all antelope and so on, so I won't be putting the light on them. I think we are going to probably change into infrared light now, because then we'll be able to look and see what these animals are. So there we go. We're into infrared, which is the night vision, and then once I get a little bit closer here, we can just have a look. I think there's lots of impala. There might be some wildebeest, and who knows, maybe some zebra. Very often, let's just have a look over there. Yeah, there's lots of impala here. So let's just stop here on Quarantine and have a little listen as well. I think it's a good idea. Let's turn our lights off. So you're getting a picture that is quite a lot different to what we actually see with the naked eye. I think Fergus is just trying to... Oh, it's not actually popping on. So the light itself is not working. Is that it, Ferg?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just into black and white then, everyone, not actually into infrared. Okay, so we're going to try and work this infrared out. You know, technology, it's great when it works and rubbish when it doesn't. So it seems like Sydney, at least, has his infrared wood.
Yeah, now we have got another lioness coming to join for the dinner. So they are all helping each other in order to have something now. There's quite a little bit of competition taking place. This is what is called the intra-specific competition, when the animals of the same species challenging each other for the same food source. But it seems like these two got a very good combination, because there has not been any sign of aggression by the one which got there first. So these lions, they have not been intimidated by the scavengers, because they were all very far away from this carcass. The distance between the carcass and where they were, it was maybe approximately 250 meters. So you can see that they were not bothered by any of the scavengers. It's quite interesting to see that I'm not too sure what this carcass, from which animal this carcass is. Yeah, I can just see there a little bit of some hooves, but not clear to see. It's difficult to tell. Beautiful, eh? Yeah, it has been quite a very great afternoon with a lot of cats and other activities taking place. And thank you very, very much for all your comments and your questions. Until tomorrow morning, let's meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock.